Hello and welcome to a new episode of Where No Pod Has Gone Before. I'm your host, Julian.
And I'm your co-host, Titan.
And today we're back. It's so good to be back. We're going to be talking about the first two episodes of season 5 of For All Mankind. This is a show that I know that you've been in on for a long time.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken about it much, but
Not much, but
it's come up.
yeah, it's come up. And I mean, I don't know too many other people who.
No.
I mean, one or two people know about it, but not too many people have actually watched it. I sort of thought that it was quite obscure until suddenly I found out you were watching it as well, and I was quite happy about that.
That's the thing. Like, I recommend the show to a lot of people, and no one has a
same.
0% pickup rate on my recommendation.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the sort of thing which I thought was going to get cancelled at some stage, but I mean, we're still going.
Yeah, and it has a confirmed ending as well. It's not going to be cancelled without completion.
Okay.
Season 6 will be the end, and they know that. So we are. We have a final destination that we're moving towards.
Yeah, I mean, so they obviously have viewership. It's just I don't know where these people are, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I came to the show kind of through Ronald D. Moore. I mean, like, this is so me. Like, I'm following the creator or the writer, to their work.
Right, yes.
And you're more like the premise, I think. I would assume. But Ronald D. Moore, who was a writer on Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, left Voyager because it wasn't going in a direction that he was too excited about, and that kind of spurred him on to do the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, which is considered probably the masterpiece sci-fi show of the century. And no promises yet, but there have been conversations about us doing that in some capacity.
Absolutely.
Because you haven't seen BSG, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is quite crazy. It's the sort of thing which I should have watched, right? But I've never actually gotten around to it. It's one of those things where I feel like you do have to be introduced to it, right? Like, I don't really know where to start or how to find it or anything about it, right? So like,
there's a lot of stuff outside of the show that you have to watch in certain orders,
exactly. So I think it's a sort of thing I need to be introduced to.
Yeah, but back to For All Mankind. It was fun, a little bit serendipitous, I guess. I mean, we were always going to do this pod on this day. Once Apple announced the release date, we were always going to do, the first two episodes on this specific day. It just so happened that we had a manned mission to the moon launch this week.
Yeah, it was perfect.
A nice bit of rhyming.
It sort of felt like I was preparing for the pod, right? It's like everything coming together.
Yeah. And for a show that's so hopeful, I guess that's always the takeaway that I have. There's always a feeling of hopefulness, and it's got that kind of Trek positivity of everyone working together and pulling together. And
I think you've told me before that there's like a theory that this is a prequel to Star Trek, or was it BSG or something? It's like
that this would end up being like a stealth Star Trek prequel, but obviously that's not true. But like, it is a kind of
it's sort of like a headcanon that you can
and you can see it going in that direction. But like, obviously, like they skip like World War III and the eugenics war, and that's like
of course canon. So it's not perfect, but it's sort of as you say, it's the same sort of philosophy.
Yeah, and like, once the show ends, it would be a fun thing to think about, like, what would be the next steps in a season 7 or season 8, going past the decades where we're in now. But with the Artemis II launch, it was I was kind of flicking through the comments of the live chats on the NASA stream, and there was kind of humanistic, like, everyone was saying where they're from. Hello from Thailand. Hello from Germany.
Right.
Hello from wherever. Right. And it was this kind of humanity coming together, I guess. And they did very well to capture the imagination in a kind of Apollo way.
They have actually, absolutely they have, because you always sort of hear about how the public got behind it back in the 60s, and you sort of feel like today's public wouldn't be like that, but it's been quite refreshing, and it's sort of hopeful to see everyone getting back into space travel the way that they have been in the last week.
Yeah, and I think one thing the show does very well is that it I guess it argues. I don't think their intention is to argue this, but it does provide a good argument for why we should do this stuff that's in the show. The technology is going to trickle down. The scientific research is going to create advances we can never imagine, and medical research, I guess, is would be hugely valuable. So yeah, I mean, I guess the Artemis mission is something, obviously going forward. It'll always have that little piece of like for all mankind. We're going to be setting up a lunar base. You can kind of, I guess, track along as that goes on.
Because I mean, I was looking at when the first Artemis mission launched, and it doesn't quite line up. So I think it might have been, because I was trying to work out when I started watching this show, and it might have actually been in the wake of the first SpaceX manned mission. Because I think I watched some rocket launch. I thought it was Artemis 1, but I think it was probably SpaceX. And then I was like in the mood for it. I was like in the mood for space travel. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of the whole vintage space travel thing. And then I was going through Apple TV, and I was like, oh my God, this looks like exactly the kind of show that I want to watch right now, right? It's sort of like, I couldn't believe that they had made a show about vintage space travel. And I sort of found it like at the perfect time. So yeah, that's sort of how I got into it. And now it's sort of quite aligns quite well now that there's a proper manned moon mission, and everyone's getting behind it and everything. So yeah, it's quite nice.
I mean, and this is, like you said, this is one of the most like slam dunk premises for a show. The Soviets won the space race, and we're just going to continue one-upping each other.
Yeah. And I mean,
I tell this to people and they don't watch it. Like, how?
I know. I mean, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, well, this is my new show now, right? Yeah. No, and I mean, I think it's very sort of classic American reaction to it as well, because I think that's exactly how the Americans would have reacted. If the Soviets actually got there first, they would have been like, well, okay, this is the only thing that matters now, right? Like, we can't have this. We need to make sure that this is not the way things were supposed to be, right? So like, where the Soviets in reality reacted by folding pretty much. I don't think the Americans would have done that. They would have plowed even more money into it. And we would have seen something similar to what we see in the show.
Yeah. I suppose that's one of the kind of suspensions of disbelief that we have to take with the show, is that the Cold War would kind of continue as it always was, right? Nothing would change fundamentally on either side. And I do, when I'm watching an American thing that's presenting the Soviet Union, I always think you have to approach that with a little bit of skepticism.
Absolutely, yes.
Because like the American perspective is also like not that great from where I'm standing. You know what I mean? So how they portray their enemies is... So with this franchise, I mean, it is becoming a franchise. I always think to myself, and maybe I'll preach that here, is like, let's just have a little bit of healthy skepticism with how they portray the Soviets.
Yes, yeah.
There might be a little bit too much kind of American thinking there, but...
Although, I mean, that being said, it's often like all the Soviets are the evil guys. Whereas, there are a lot of, they have Soviet characters who have depth, and they care about more than just the state. And, it's not just, the Soviets are evil. So yeah, it is, they definitely presented as like the villains in the show, initially, at least at the beginning. But it's a little bit better, I think, than many other shows would have treated it.
No, I agree. I think more just like in a kind of systematic sense, like how they portray,
right?
Like, everyone's being spied on, and if you say one bad thing, you're gonna get killed and sent to the gulag, and Like,
yeah, I mean, there was a line in one of these, on one of the latest episodes, where it was like, oh, I feel like I'm being watched the whole time or whatever, and she was like, well, welcome to the Soviet Union.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, that's an American writing this, right?
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, like, you know, we can flip it back on the Americans, like, who literally had a Nazi scientist, right, designing their rockets. So,
right. Yes,
who was a character in the show, in fairness. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they didn't brush over that fact. They made it a very big point. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, going into season 5, we've had a bit of a hiatus. This is a kind of a trickle down effect from writer strikes and actor strikes from a few years ago. So a lot of shows got delayed, put off for a year.
Okay.
So I have very little memory of what came before on the show.
Yeah, I mean, at least they did a bit of a recap right at the beginning. Yeah. But even then, there's still parts where I'm like, yeah, okay, I vaguely remember this, but like there was more to it than that, right?
Yeah. But I just trusted myself. I'm like, I'm not going to go back and rewatch anything. I was just like, this is a new decade, new season. Like, the conflicts will reveal themselves in this season. For what
exactly, and you remember the most important parts of it.
Or... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, if you're ready to get into it, we can just dive into it.
Yeah, I suppose let's do it.
So, season 5, episode 1, titled "First Light." We have our classic For All Mankind news montage as we're catching up to the new decade.
Yes.
And we have a new president. Earth comes first, right? That doesn't remind you of anyone. It definitely doesn't. It's like there's fun stuff in here. I always like the kind of little things they put there, like Jay-Z and John Lennon performing at the Grammys.
And I didn't see that.
The Montreal Expos, this is a baseball thing. The Montreal Expos moved to Portland when in reality they moved to Washington, D.C. That's one for you. And I have here, thank God they still made Breaking Bad. You know?
Yes, absolutely. I'm like, at least that's a fundamental constant. Yeah.
Admiral Ed can sit in his Martian bed and binge watch Breaking Bad.
Yes, absolutely. Then it's all worth it. Yeah.
And I think the Earth Comes First is setting up a conflict of the season, the political divide between Earth and Mars, which hasn't revealed much so far, but I think by the end of episode 2, I could kind of see where they might pull on those threads.
Yeah, I think also a lot of the posters and stuff are like Free Mars or something like that.
Yeah. When they're doing the graffiti.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's obviously going to be important.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting because you have people are being born on Mars. You know, let's say to American parents, but they might not feel an American allegiance, and you know we now have like lots of refugees coming in. So the political identity of Mars is going to be a thing this season.
Yes,
which I'm quite interested in. I think
I'm also quite interested in. I think it'll be an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah. But with that, now we had a conflict, a riot last season where Commander Poole was shot. So now we have a curfew, right?
And I mean, did she die? I couldn't quite remember.
No, she did go back to Earth. We did have a shot of her in a wheelchair.
Okay, because I didn't think
getting
she
off
died,
the spaceship.
But
she's not in this season, right. I believe. She's not in the credits.
I haven't.
Obviously, she hasn't been there so far. But I mean, they're not going to like not mention what she's up to. So, you know.
I'm sure we'll see her at some stage. Yeah, exactly.
Hold tight. So my feeling immediately is like, okay, we have very strict kind of police state vibe going on here. So we have the MKPs, the Martian peacekeepers, who are chasing someone. They're chasing someone who's left some graffiti, and we follow this person into like a biodome where there's crops, right? And then we have the sunrise on Mars, and we pull back, and this is classic For All Mankind. We're going to show the progress in these kind of beautiful effect shots.
Yes,
and we see all these biodomes. That's the background behind me. All these biodomes.
Yeah, and I mean, I couldn't quite remember. I mean, have we seen biodomes like that before on the show?
Maybe on the moon. I don't know. Definitely not on Happy Valley.
I didn't think so, because I mean, what was quite interesting is it looked like they were growing plants, just from a science perspective here. It looked like they were growing plants in the Martian soil, which, you know, even 10 years ago or so, with The Martian, the movie The Martian, you know, it was like a big deal for him to try and grow plants in Martian soil. But I think probably around the same time that the movie was released, they then discovered the first water on Mars. And they've since been studying the soil a lot more. And it sort of turns out that growing plants on Mars probably wouldn't be that difficult. Like, you would probably have to do a little bit of fancy science and stuff, but it would absolutely be a thing that you would be able to do. You obviously just have to put in a biodome with atmosphere and all of that. But, you know, if they'd released that scene 10 years ago, I would have looked at it and said, plants in the soil? Nah, I don't think so. Whereas now, just 10 years later, I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely how we would do it if we went there. So it was quite an interesting thing, little thing to see, plants in the soil.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great little nugget about like how science changes and everything, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I think for me, just as a viewer, I was like, "Oh, cool! They're growing plants now." And I would have thought that they were just like shipping up Earth soil or whatever. But
exactly. That. I mean, they've been sci-fi things in the past where they're like, "Oh, it's hydroponics," or "We've shipped up soil," or whatever.
Yeah.
But like these days, I mean, I think I've even heard Andy Weir talk about it in terms of his book. When he wrote his book, this was like a scientific challenge, like growing plants in the soil.
Yeah.
And since then, it's like, oh yeah, no, but of course you could do this. Like, it wouldn't even be that difficult.
But that was like the central. That was the whole plot of that. It was like he needs to grow food to survive, which is awesome, right?
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, we look at it now. Obviously, no one's done it yet, but based on our understanding, it would probably not be that difficult. You just need a biodome. And
it's a matter of engineering and technology, right?
Exactly. You can absolutely do it. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I like, that's good stuff to think about. Living on another planet. But we have now our classic For All Mankind morning routine. Every season has opened with Margot waking up and getting dressed.
Oh, that's right.
So we'd had her living in her office at NASA. I think one season she was probably at home when she was very successful. And then obviously we had her last season in Moscow. Probably Moscow.
Yeah.
You know, when she was like getting her morning paper and stuff like that. But also this is intercut with Alita's morning routine. And now she's the CEO of Helios, the private company that's involved in all of this. And I think that's a kind of interesting idea as well. It's not just NASA versus it's Roscosmos, right? That would be the So it's not just that. It's like we also have a billionaire messing around in all of this.
Yes, and I mean,
and by extension, we know that like a billionaire doesn't really have to play by the rules.
Exactly.
They can play fast and loose with safety.
And I mean, I love that character, Dev, because they could have very easily made him a caricature of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whatever, you know, but he's not a caricature, but he's still very much a caricature, if you know what I mean. Like, he's not an obvious imitation of one of them, but we absolutely know what that character is. We have those characters in real life, and we can imagine what they would be like, right? So it's not just, oh, this is Elon Musk and we're just not saying his name. It's an entirely separate character, but we know the type, right? So you're never sure which side he's on. You're like, you keep thinking, oh, he's a visionary and he's going to like come up with all these cool things. And then he goes and does some nefarious thing. And you're like, of course, fucking billionaires, you know?
But also, like, he is a three-dimensional character.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He has, like, it's something to do with his father, but there are genuine reasons for why he is so driven to do what he does. And like a really good 3-dimensional character, he has flaws and he has things that we like about him, and so in that way he feels lived in. That's all. I like using that term, lived in. It's a little vague. Yes. Yeah, he feels like a real person, right?
No, he does.
And his thing now is that he wants to build Maru City. So that is like a circular metropolitan like canal, I guess, in the Martian surface, and all the residencies will be built in the wall, and there'll be like open park spaces and offices and whatever. And he's announced this without telling his company Helios. So Leader's pissed, and there's this question of resources, and the board is not giving money for certain things. So this is a season ahead little like tension. Like this is what we know is to come. This is going to be a center point in the season. But back on Mars, now we have Miles. He was a new character in season 4 as basically a laborer. On Mars, played by Toby Kebbell. And I've always liked this guy because he played Koba in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I don't know if you remember the villain.
What, ape. An ape?
Yeah, he was the villain ape who fought Caesar. I've always loved that character and that performance. And
right.
Therefore, I'm like, whenever I see Toby Kebbell, I'm like, that's my guy. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, I feel like I've seen him in something else as well, but I haven't worked it out where he's from.
He's done he did an early Black Mirror. Maybe that.
Yeah, maybe it was from that. I mean, I haven't watched all of Black Mirror, but it's probably from that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's playing a character called Miles here, and he finally has a window. Remember that was his thing last season, is that he was stuck in the basements in like these dormitories, I guess.
Right.
Now he has a window and his wife.
I know where I know him from. I know him from the Prince of Persia movie. That's where it's from.
Oh my god.
I don't know who he plays or anything, but he's in that movie. Yeah.
I'm sure his casting was very sensitively handled.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But yeah, so I was happy for him to have a window finally.
Right. I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was his thing, right? He had all these dreams about working on Mars, and then it was just a harsh life.
It wasn't like he thought it was in space adventure and everything, and then it was just boring and low pay and all of that.
Yeah. And now we're catching up with Admiral Ed Baldwin.
Legend.
So we should talk about the makeup on this show. So I think back in season 3, I think I was starting to think like, okay, the makeup might be pushing it. This is season 3, mind you. This is 20 years in story time ago. Like, guys, this is like, don't take it too far. Like, it's
like
working. It's working now, but you got to kill Ed off soon.
He's got to die soon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And now in season 5, like he's like in his mid-80s or whatever. Now I'm actively thinking like, let's take it as far as we can go. I've like actually completely switched. Make him 120. Like I don't care. Let's keep pushing this.
Completely. Like they've gone too far already. So like now just go for it, right? Like
double down.
And I mean his acting as well is fantastic, because I mean he was cast in the first season as this young hotshot pilot, right? Like the right stuff of the Apollo program.
And that's like 8 years ago, by the way. So he's still like a buff young guy.
Exactly. He's still absolutely that person. And I think most of his time on the show has actually been him not in that character, right? It was like the first 2 seasons maybe. And then since then, he's been this old man. And I mean, he plays it fantastically. I'm like completely convinced that he's in his 80s. I'm like, 100%.
I mean, there were others as well. I was shocked because I just... for fun, was kind of checking people's ages, and Cynthia Wu, who plays Kelly Baldwin, who is a middle-aged mother of a man, right? Like her son is like 18 years old. Right? She's our age. born in 1998. I was stunned.
Yeah, that's
like,
wow.
Yeah, like
no, that's even more
she
shocking.
Completely convinces me.
You completely because I suppose I mean, we first met her when she was probably still a teenager or something. Hey, she was sort of still going off to the Naval Academy or something. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's very surprising. I had no idea.
Yeah, and I think for her and Alida as well, and I guess Dev, like the makeup is still really good there.
Yes.
I think with Margot and Ed, now we're just in like, this is beyond uncanny. Like, let's just keep going. This is
no,
they're
exactly.
in their own like category beyond.
Yeah. And I mean, they're beloved characters, right? Like, I understand why they don't want to get rid of them because, like, I mean, if Ed goes, like, the show's going to lose a lot, right?
Yeah, but like, that's a good point. Like, Ed is the last kind of representation of that mentality that they had in the 70s decade.
Yes.
Season 1 of like the kind of cowboy astronaut, like, the rules don't suit me, so I'm just going to ignore the rules. And like this happens, right? Times change and everything, but the show will probably lose that voice. We'll see. We'll see after episode 2, right? But yeah,
we'll get to that. Yes, of course, yeah.
But Ed has an ankle monitor because obviously he was involved in the riots last season, and he can't go into the command, and he's just like tormenting and like, come on, Ed, not again.
I absolutely love his antics because it's the same character that he's always been, but now he's old and now he like really doesn't give a shit, right? He's just like, I'm just gonna upset all these people just for the hell of it.
And because he's old, everyone's just like, forget about it.
It's Ed, this guy, first man on the moon or whatever he was.
And now we're in the kind of I guess community area or something, like a market area, and there's a Domino's. I immediately noticed, it's like, what are we?
Yes, I saw that as well. I'm like, okay, cool, nice.
And Ilya doesn't have to brew moonshine illegally now. He has the stand as well.
Yes,
and Lee, the first person on Mars, is like running a stand as well, because obviously he has no legal status as a defector, I guess.
Yeah, I was happy to see him though, because he looked happy, right? He looked like he was like living his little life. He had his wife there, because I mean, I think that was a whole thing, right? Like he thought he was never gonna get back together with his wife or something.
Yeah, they had to get the wife to get him to agree to do something, right? So they had to get her up in a crater, and then he would agree to help with something in season 4.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And we're catching up with Kelly now. She's drilling. She has kind of this tunnel vision, determination to discover life. In the solar system, and she's in the I think it's called the Korolev crater.
Yeah.
She's been there for a decade, and negative result after negative result.
The one thing which I was like, she's looking for life which has never been found before, and there's no confirmation that it's ever going to be found. And she's like so disappointed and so surprised every time. She's like, another negative result. I'm like, of course. Like, this is what you dedicated your life to. You know,
that's a TV thing. That's a TV
I suppose.
thing, right?
Yeah. No, sure.
Again, that's kind of setting up a season arc, right? There's a race.
Yeah.
As opposed to find life.
But I did watch that, and I'm like, well, yeah, of course. Like, what did you expect? Like, if you find life, then whoa, in fact, that's disruptive. Like your whole career's gonna change now.
And she's funnily enough, she's late for graduation of her son, and it was a little bit kind of, I don't know, cutesy the way they did it. It was like, oh, by the way, if you don't haul ass, you're gonna miss it. I was like, why is she there? Like, doesn't she have a day planner or something? And why are you telling her so late? The guy in the rover or whatever. But so we have graduation. Only 4 students, which I like.
Yes, I did like that as well.
and Alex is receiving some grandfatherly pressure. You're going to be this great man. You're a Baldwin, and it's clear that he just wants to go to Earth. He doesn't like it there. He has, I mean, we've seen, how many times we've seen this in fiction? He has different ideas for himself than the people around him, and he's struggling to express that.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't quite managed to say it to anyone yet.
Yeah,
because I mean, was he born on Mars? Well, all of
he was very young and then brought over.
Okay.
He had he had health problems, which
that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Which the low gravity is keeping him alive. I think, right?
Yeah. I also thought there was something like that where he can't just go to Earth or something like that, or it's dangerous or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was struggling with these because I think we've met him and also one of the other kids, Miles' kid or whatever. But they were obviously played by different. Oh, is it? Okay.
She was back because he came up alone and he was like, "I'm going to send you a Mars rock." That was his big thing, right? And he had to do it illegally, right? He had to go off.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, obviously, last time we saw these characters, they were played by different actors and actresses. Of course, right?
Yeah.
So it took me a while. I'm like, okay, is this a new person? Who is this, right? Like, but yeah, I think I've started to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And now the kids are hanging out, they're drinking and smoking weed, and like I've written here, Academy flashbacks. This is like getting close to Starfleet Academy, like.
Yeah, like sitting around drama. Talking about our feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, teeny drama.
Any moment they're going to put on a play, man. Like just wait for it.
But it is. It mercifully it's over quickly. Like the one guy is gone pretty quickly, and it's just a way for them to kind of express without their parents and grandparents there, like how they really feel. Right, that's what the scene is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so back on Earth, Alita is supervising Search for Life, and you can the way that she's looking at the screen and checking all the data and stuff, it's telling me that like, oh, she misses that, she misses the engineering, she misses crunching the numbers.
Yes.
Here she is as a CEO, and she has to worry about board meetings and funding and all of that.
Yeah, she was never that person, right? She was always the hands-on engineer chick. Yeah. And it sort of feels like she's not quite on the ground anymore.
Yeah. But that's what's going on here. We have bureaucracy, like, you can't go back and send another probe there because you need all this money that the board's not allowing you, and now Dev has done his city plans and who knows what's coming.
Yeah.
And back on Mars, Alex is looking at the Earth through a headset, and then Kelly comes in and they talk a little bit about whatever. And this is it was really clunky. It was really clunky to me when she's like, "Have you seen my VR3 headset?" Like, I don't know. And so I haven't seen it in a few weeks. And he's like, "Oh no."
I know. It was like.
It was so like trying to hammer home, like he's doing this.
He's a naughty boy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was kind of whatever to me.
It's the sort of thing you have to sort of just brush past. You're like, okay, I know that they're trying to express. Forget about the actual mechanics of the scene.
Yeah, and like with Kelly's determination to find life, like that's going to be a thing of like, you're never around, Mom. That argument is going to happen this season.
Yeah.
You don't know about me. So all these seeds are being planted here.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Next up, we have a union meeting for the SDM, which I Googled just to remind myself what that was. And all I could find was the Google AI overview saying, I couldn't find anywhere, and it was just the Google AI overview saying it stands for self-determined Martians or something like that. Okay. So it's definitely not that, because Google AI said it, right? Because it's 100% not that. Yeah. You have this,
yeah.
You have a
no, especially coming
labor
from Google
union.
with AI. Yeah.
So obviously that's the result of last season. I love that. I love the unionizing
Yes.
story arc.
Yeah,
For
because you
Martian
see,
workers.
I can't quite remember, because obviously there was this riot, and then there was probably some sort of compromise reached, but also new restrictions placed on people so that they couldn't gather in groups and whatever. So I'm not quite sure if this is supposed to be like an underground organization, like it was, or if this is like an officially recognized thing, or what's going on with that.
I think they're recognized because, if you're talking about like they had a deal or whatever, part of the deal would be like, okay, there's a curfew and you can't gather in large crowds. But their side of the deal was like Kurigan, which that's the company building the space elevator.
Yeah.
And Helios, like they can't hire non-union, right?
Okay.
They actually say that. So I think that would be reading between the lines what the deal was.
Okay. Yes.
And like sense. Obviously they're doing well, right? We saw in the big shot of the base, like you have all these cube-shaped pods, right, kind of sticking out everywhere, and those are like family units.
Right. Yes.
So they also kind of, I guess, got that out of it. They got good working conditions and good living conditions. Yeah. And they can see the sunrise, right? They can see the surface.
Right. Yes. Yeah. They're not just in a little box anymore.
Yeah. And now Alex is out on a bike. Which, I was about to ask a question and I've just answered in my head. The bike itself was the gift that Dev left him for graduation.
Oh,
it's like your gift is in Spaceport 7 or something. I thought that he was on the bike to go get his gift. That's
I didn't get that at all. Yes, okay, I didn't, but that makes perfect sense, right? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
And I was just thinking that dirt biking in 0.3 Gs looks like a lot of fun.
It does look like a lot of fun, but you see, then that's my little science point here, is that they showed it, right? They showed him ramping off the dune or whatever and jumping higher than you normally do. But then I thought his crash that he has was a bit harsh for lower gravity. It looked like suddenly when he crashes normally. You know, it was a very harsh
he's crashing in a soundstage, obviously. But
exactly. But I was like, you go to the efforts to show me the microgravity, and then you just make him crash as if it's normal. So,
well, maybe I don't know. He has a particularly like robust bike or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I was enjoying the microgravity, and then suddenly I was like, oh, okay, now it's finished. You know,
this sent me on like a mental spiral of like, okay, so who's watching like all the vital signs or whatever, like who's monitoring like all the spacesuits or whatever, like what happens if someone's out there and they have a crack in their helmets or whatever. Like I was just thinking of all the logistics of it.
I was trying to think like, is someone actually watching him? Like, have they gotten to the point where now with 5,000 people no one's watching him anymore, you know, because
or maybe he has to send a SOS or something.
Right. Probably.
Yeah. But he finds a dead body, which is thought of immediately as a suicide.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like established like people just do this. They just open the door and run for as long as they can before they die. And I was like, that's pretty dark.
They pull a Gordo. I like that reference. Pull a Gordo,
that's pretty gnarly that this is a thing that people accept.
But I mean, you remember obviously the Gordo Stevens thing where they wrap themselves in duct tape.
Yeah.
And then I love that sort of callback to the previous things. That's sort of like, whether they're doing it for that reason or not, like, you know, that's become like a part of the folklore of space travel.
Yeah.
And like, when I kill myself, I'm going to pull a Gordo, you know, like, pretty harsh, but like, I felt like, that's, you know, nice world building there.
Yeah. I would, looking back, that's probably the best scene of the whole show, right? Gordo's sacrifice. Yeah,
I think so.
And then he had his son going crazy, right?
Yeah, his son was a nightmare. Yeah, no, absolutely. Jeez, like.
So now they're doing the examination, the medical exam of this body, And like, yeah, it's exhibiting all the signs of rapid decompression.
Yes.
And the guy's like, wait, have you? Wait, it was Boyd. Boyd is our MKP main character. She's third billing in the cast, right? So we know that she's a main character,
right? Yeah.
For this season. And she's like, wait, but he ran a little bit further than a person should be able to. And like other guys like, what are you, a mathematician now? This guy's really bad. Wait for it. And the doctor's like, right, let me just check his ears. Like, oh, look, his eardrums haven't burst, which means he was killed inside, right? Or he says that his eardrums haven't burst, and they would if he died outside. And the other guy's like, can you explain that in normal terms? And I'm just like, he just did.
That's exactly what he just did. Yeah. I mean, it was reminding me. I was also like, he just explained it in normal terms, dude. It was reminding me of like I think it was during our primer episode when you were like, there's always this moment where the guy's like, in English, 4 eyes, and I was like, that's exactly, it's like he's just being dumb so that they can explain it to the audience, make sure that we really are following and understand what's going on, but I was also like, dude, come on.
But so from there, it's like, okay, this man was murdered.
Yeah.
And the sheriff says, all right, this does not leave this room, right? This stays between us.
Yeah.
And then we cut immediately to breaking news, murder on Mars, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, I also did. Yeah.
Really nice bit.
Because I think that's realistic, right? It's always like, exactly. doesn't leave this room, and then headlines.
Yeah. And now we have some kid trouble. So Alita's daughter is coming home late, and this is another thing of like, you don't understand me, Mom. You're never here, right? That's what we're going to get out of this.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Alex, right? They're trying to talk to him after he was the one who found the dead body, and they're like, it's okay to be upset, and we're here for you. And he, he storms away. Whatever, I guess. I can tell right away that this is going to be like passable at best drama for me. The kids.
Yes,
stuff.
Absolutely. It's sort of like, all right, yeah, sure, you can include it, but it's not going to be the reason that I keep watching every week.
Yeah, I mean, like, Kelly's going to be on a mission or whatever, and then she's going to realize, actually, my son is all that matters, and yeah, it's not going to be the best stuff, I guess.
No, it's not going to be great, but hopefully it's not catastrophic.
Yeah. Now Ed is in the doctor's office, and we're talking about stage 3 cancer, and no one knows, right? Just him in the doc.
Yeah.
So my dream of a 120-year-old Ed.
Yeah,
probably
it's
not going to come
slim.
true.
Yeah. I think they might finally let go sometime this season. Yeah, but I mean,
how old is he?
I thought he was in his 80s, probably, because I was trying to work this out as well. I mean,
but he served in the Korean War.
Oh,
because he speaks Korean, right? He's a Korean War vet. That's the 50s,
right? Yeah, so he would have probably been like 20s.
At least be 18 then. For that. So he's born in the 30s. So he's 80s.
So he might be like late 80s. He might be close to 90 actually.
Pushing 90.
Yeah, hectic. Yeah. No, but I mean, I absolutely loved the scene where he it's like blow into this, that peak flow thing, and then he goes and like makes some stupid voice or whatever, and the doctor's just like, come on, dude.
Come on, Ed.
I thought it was a classic Ed scene. I'm still loving his character.
Yeah, and he goes back to his habitat module and finds Alex's headset, so he understands a little bit more, I guess. And now Alex's friend is going off to the Marines, and it's all well and good. And he's like, hey man, you should hook up with Lily because you guys both like each other. It's like, dude, it's not like that. It's whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, we know what's gonna happen there then.
For our next series that we do on this pod, we need to find something with no teen drama for you, Julian. I think exactly. we're putting you through enough here.
Like Battlestar Galactica, as great as it is, has some wild, like soap opera turns.
Okay.
People hooking up and then breaking up and then hooking up again, and it gets nuts with it.
Okay, yeah, I suppose Star Trek has some at some stages as well. Deep Space Nine and stuff often has dramatic things.
No, but I agree. No teen drama for the next one.
Yeah. The next one we need to go hard. Yeah.
Imagine if they somehow get teen drama into Star City.
Oh, is that there's like a spin-off show or something? It looked interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be about the mission to the moon for the Soviets, like the first person to step on the moon.
Cool.
So it won't be overlapping, which I thought it was. Okay. I thought they were going to do like side by side, like season 1 will mirror season 1.
Yes, I thought so as well. Yeah,
it's going to be before. I would just say, I'd be stunned if they get teen drama into that.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, that sounds really interesting, because I would love part of the thing that I loved about those early seasons was seeing some of the unrealized NASA technology.
Yes, they had real plans. Yeah,
exactly. Like the one major thing, I think it was end of season 1, was the Sea Dragon, that massive cargo rocket that launches out of the ocean. That was a real NASA plan that they planned to do until the Apollo mission shut down. And obviously the Soviets as well had a moon rocket. They had the N1, which never, as far as I know, I don't think it ever lifted off. All right, so it was in development. They built one, but it never actually took off. So I'd love to see some unrealized Soviet space technology. Yeah. I'd really love to see that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure with with the research they've done so far, I'm sure they'll have some
that
cool
sounds
stuff
awesome.
up their sleeve. But back to Alex and his friend, who will forever go unnamed because I don't care enough to look this up.
Yeah.
Well, he leaves, and I the one thing that stuck with me about this scene is not anything about Alex or anything. It's that this guy has a longer goodbye with Alex than he does his own parents.
Absolutely. He's like, cheers, mom, cheers, dad. And then he's like, oh, my friend.
He has a long embrace with Alex, and he's like, okay, you two, see you around. He just walks
As the parents, I would have been like, no, come, say goodbye properly.
Yeah, family hug, the three of us.
Yeah. No, I also noticed that. So.
And then, back on Earth, Alita is visiting Margot in prison.
Yes.
And...
So just remind me, I mean, why is Margot in prison? Because, I mean, she went to the Soviet Union because she had revealed herself or something. And then she came back, and I thought she was, like, pardoned or something.
I can only remember her going to... I'm Googling this now as I speak, so let's see if I can... But, so she went to the Soviet Union because... there was the bombing, right?
Yes.
So that was her. That was like a good chance for her to get away. But she was caught up with Sergei, who was like her counterpart at Roscosmos.
Yes.
And then basically they strong-armed her and it was like framed her for like leaking secrets to the Soviets through Sergei.
Right.
So that's what the FBI believed.
But I mean, is that why she's in prison? Because I mean, she obviously came back to America at some stage, so she was pardoned partially, at least, for a time, and now she's in prison again. You see, that's why I'm confused as to why she's back in prison.
Question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so they had there was the Goldilocks mission to capture the asteroid.
Yeah.
And she was there as she was in Houston as a Roscosmos representative, as a liaison, I guess, to help.
Yes.
And then I'm guessing she decides she asks for like she asks to stay or whatever. She asks for asylum.
Yeah.
And is therefore prosecuted because they still think that she's like the worst traitor of all time.
Okay, right. Okay, you see, I was assuming that she'd just gone back to the States somehow. But yeah, you're right. She was there with the Russians, and I think I remember the Roscosmos director or whatever screwed her over somehow.
Probably
doing something. There was some tactics. Yeah. Okay. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also just by the way, what I was devastated at is that the NASA director is no longer the wet bandit from Home Alone. In the last season,
yes.
remember he was yes. one of the wet bandits. I loved seeing him, and yeah, now he's gone. So
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I loved him.
Yeah, this show is going to be a great binge one day.
Absolutely,
yes. We're going to get 5 years down the line after season 6 and be like, oh, wait, For All Mankind was so good. And then hopefully Apple will put out a box set. Just pick that up.
Yes.
2 weeks, plow through it. Hopefully with a person who's never seen it before.
Yes.
That'll be great.
No, that sounds like a plan. Absolutely.
Yeah, because we just don't know what happened last season.
Yeah, we like what happened? Yeah, I know. I promise I've watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
But like I said, like we're the conflicts and stories will reveal themselves for the season, so it's not that
exactly. They obviously
we know
obviously
where we
what
are.
they gave exactly what they gave in the recap is what will be important, right? So
yeah, exactly.
We're trying to remember. On. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Previously on your favorite show, here's a character who died last season, and you're like, oh wait, they're coming back to life then.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so Alita and Margot are catching up, and well, not catching up because it's actually clear that this is a regular occurrence that they're hanging out together.
Yes, and I mean that's sort of what they've always done, right? When they get together, they talk engineering. Like, it's sort of exactly, but it's like a personal relationship, but that's what they do in their personal relationship.
Yeah,
is talk engineering. Well, exactly. They don't want to know how the family's doing or anything. They want to talk rocket science.
Yeah, I mean, which, it's like a joke that men can't be friends unless they have a podcast together, right? That's actually a thing, right?
Right.
They don't talk to each other about feelings or anything. They just relate through podding.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, sounds
so
about
right. That's their version of it.
Yeah,
and back on Mars, Lily, who is Miles' daughter, who's also just graduated, she's supposed to be going off to college, but she actually wants to attend an SDM meeting. So this is a bit more interesting to me.
Yes.
Because why does she want to stay and like help a labor union when she can go to college, right? This is it's a little bit more interesting to me, I guess.
Yes, I think so as well.
It's not entirely clear as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'd also forgotten a little bit exactly what happened with Miles, but I sort of remembered that he was slightly sketchy, where he was like behind things, but then he'd sort of been a bit of a double agent or whatever. And it's sort of become clear that everyone has a certain view of who he is and what he's done, and like he's a hero or whatever. But it's not quite so clear cut, right? So I think the daughter's like really looking up to him and like, oh, I want to be like my dad and like represent the colony or whatever. And then I think at some stage it's obviously going to be revealed that Miles is not who everyone thinks he is. And I reckon he's then going to do something which like is redeeming, right? He's going to somehow actually do the thing that everyone thinks he's known for.
I think he was, because when they had the illegal bar, I think they found out through him, they kind of strong-armed him. Like, we know you've been sending stuff to your family, so we can arrest you and put you away for how long or something. So he was strong-armed by the law into working against his friends.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that sounds right.
And finally, the big ending sting of the episode is that they found Lee's DNA under the nails of the dead man, and so therefore he is arrested. And that's that closes episode 1, First Light. I don't know if you have prepared best and worst science moment for
Ooh, no, I haven't.
or both episodes?
No, I haven't. I mean, so far there hasn't been too much, like not a lot of science to really get into. I mean, I suppose. I suppose I do have a best and worst science moment, which I've already mentioned. The best one is definitely the plants in the soil.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I don't think we're going to get much more on that, but I thought that was really, really interesting because I think that if we, or I'll say when we eventually build a Mars colony, that's probably what it's going to be like. On the moon, it's going to be a lot more challenging to grow plants, but on Mars, it's sort of like you would be growing plants in a desert here on Earth, right? So yeah, it's a challenge. You've got to bring in water from somewhere and oxygen and everything. But it was definitely interesting to see that because I think even on like Waters of Mars for Doctor Who, that's not quite. They don't really show plants in the soil. It's sort of like in little beds or whatever, which is open to interpretation. Whereas here, it definitely looked like a dome just on the surface. And then I suppose probably worst science moment would be the crash on the bike.
Yeah.
I mean, I can very easily get past it. It's not a big deal, but it was jarring because I was busy thinking, oh wow, look, they're showing microgravity, and then like, oh no, that looks a little bit too harsh for microgravity. So I'm hoping that we get a little bit harder into the science in upcoming episodes. I'm sure we will, but so far it's mostly been sort of setting things up and drama between characters and stuff.
I've written a primary concern that I have for this season based on, like, I wrote this only having seen episode 1, right?
Okay.
So I am going to talk about this concern as it relates to episode 2, but my concern was that every season had like a kind of frontier, like a goal, something that's very difficult to do, and we're going to push beyond it. We're going to go to the moon. We're going to build a base. We're going to go to Mars. We're going to build a base there. We're going to capture an asteroid, or whatever. And as much as I like hanging around in Happy Valley, I was thinking, like, what are we going to do? Like, what's the big thing?
Yeah, that's true.
We need to be flying spaceships and being in spacesuits, zero G.
I mean, what I'm hoping for
what what is it going to be?
I'm hoping for Titan, right?
I
think
episode 2.
I think they mentioned it in episode 2 is going to Titan. So I'm hoping to see a little bit of that because that's quite realistic in terms of the real world possibilities of life as well. So I'm hoping for that. I sort of feel like we might get that more in the next season, but that would be a problem, I think, if we just stay on Mars the whole time this season. We need somewhere to push.
And with that, we can go into episode 2 titled The Hard Six. And I saw that and I was thinking, okay, this is something to do with rolling the dice, something to do with luck. And then, not in any significant way, but it is to do with that.
Yes.
So we start with Lee is being given the perp walk through this market area, and I'm wondering, like, okay, is the design of a Happy Valley that you have to go through the exact corridor that's in between you and like, can't you go around or something? Like, why would you do that? It's like,
surely there's around. Yeah, exactly. It's like the worst because then they walk through and then it's like, this is now a gathering that exceeds limits or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, man?
They were all there
already. This isn't a gathering. You've come here. No, I agree with that. Surely there's a back corridor somewhere, or like go out the airlock and get into a ship or something and go around, you know?
They had to have known that that this would have caused some kind of frenzy, I guess.
But then, how would all the characters have found out?
Yeah, exactly. And obviously they're all upset. This guy is beloved in Happy Valley. And back in the kind of central command, someone has got results from one of the Seeker probes that indicate protein, I believe it was. Something is producing protein.
Yes.
As they say.
Yeah.
And the guy says, get this to Houston and to Dev. And I was thinking, I with just my attitude towards like private companies being involved in all this, like that's bad. We shouldn't be going to a CEO or
exactly. He should be the last to know. Yeah.
But this is life. I think this is the big thing of the season. It's Earth-Mars conflict and it's search for life. That's I think clearly the two fronts of the season, right?
Yes, yeah. And I think, I mean, we'll probably get into it, but I've got no idea what the character's name is, but the sort of leader of this life search, the guy who's sending probes and all of that, I think he's going to sort of become quite antagonistic.
Is that the Helios employee?
Yes, yeah, the guy who goes against Kelly or whatever and says like, no, we have to send seekers or whatever. I
believe his name's Walt.
That sounds right. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Hold on to that. Yeah, but I
think so. Yeah,
nerdy guy, glasses.
Exactly. I think he sort of seems like the sort of character who's like protecting the company's interests and also making sure that his career, goes forward in the way that he wants it. Yeah. And people are coming and messing this up. So I think he's going to potentially become a little bit of a villain at some point.
Excuse me. Yeah, I agree with that. And next up, Ed is at the sheriff's office and he wants to see Lee. And he can't because Lee has no legal rights because North Korea is not an M7, and now M6, of course.
Yeah.
So Ed just gets himself arrested. It's great.
I love that. He's like, because he doesn't say anything. He's just like, all right, then sits down and starts messing with his ankle bracelet. I love it so much.
Cut to like the jail door slamming. And it's like, you can't take your ankle monitor off, Ed. Also part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, awesome move. Yeah.
Everyone's reacting to the news. The teenagers are reacting to it. Everyone's like, well, they can't do this. And, it's, a setup, basically.
Yes.
And through these conversations, we hear some of the arguments about, like, he has no rights. He should go home for trial. And then people say, no, but, he's one of us. It should be us that try him or whatever.
Yeah.
And Miles gets an interesting text, and he goes off, and we can see that it's private. And he goes off to meet the sheriff, and the sheriff's looking for information. We know that Miles is sometimes giving information, and this is more of the strong arming, right? So Miles may not be the man everyone thinks he is. Like
exactly. Yeah. And I reckon at some point, he's going to be pushed so far where he decides, you know what? Tell everyone what I've done. I'm going to make a stand now. So like he's sort of going to become the person who everyone thought he was by giving up the legend that is currently backing him up. Right.
Yeah. And next up, Boyd, the MKB officer, is getting ready and listen to a news broadcast. And so we get this backstory of Craters, or some world building, right? So Craters are like immigrants who come up to Mars for work and a safe place to stay. And, this is it's a total allegory for kind of conversations that are dominating politics now. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
I always have trouble with the idea of a person inherently being illegal, right? Defining a human being.
Absolutely. Especially where here you are on Mars. It's a brand new world. You're trying to, and it's like, it's not one nation. It's a whole lot coming together and collaborating, and it's hopeful and for all mankind and whatever. And then it's like, oh no, but he's illegal. He can't be here, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I think just a thought that's popped in my head. I think we're going to a point where Mars is going to have full legal independence from Earth towards season's end.
Probably, yeah.
But that it
like a new nation sort of type of vibe,
it's an interesting thematic thread. These craters that they've not been foregrounded so far, but
we know that they exist somehow. Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to be part of this somehow.
Yeah.
Ed's going around looking for help, and Dev can't offer any. He's like, I'll do whatever I can on Earth, but obviously the whole thing that Ed is worried about is that as soon as Lee gets back on Earth, he's going to be killed by North Korea. Right?
Yes,
it's not about whether he's guilty or not. It's about his life fundamentally.
Yeah.
Dev can't do anything, and we get this shot of his I guess his private habitat, which is built into like a rock face or whatever. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I also thought it was cool. Yeah. Although I was like, I wouldn't want to look at the compound. I would face it the other way. Actually, I want to look at Mars. Like I don't want to look at the compound. Like it's a cock view, man. Like point it the other way.
Yeah, like you have one of the like an actual new planet to your eyes, and you choose to look at the man-made structure
at the industrial complex.
Maybe a little insight into his character, I guess.
Maybe I was also thinking, I'm like,
dreams,
exactly. He's not actually concerned with Mars. He's concerned with what he's building.
And next up, Boyd is doing some independent investigation, and she's talking to Moon, I believe would be her first name.
Right. Yes.
Who is Lee's wife, and just talking about the guy. So the guy is the guy, and I can't remember his name. The guy and Lee have fought, and Lee was upset with him because he was spending too much time with his wife, and so there was some personal conflict that was like, this guy would never do this. And we find out in this scene that Kurigan, the space elevator people, are using non-union labor at night. Two things that are not allowed. Right? And I was thinking at this point, like, oh, cool. Like, there's actually a murder mystery folded into this sci-fi drama. Very cool that they can do that they can weave that in quite
exactly. And it feels, it doesn't feel like you're betraying the show or anything. It's like, okay, cool. I can get on board with this. It's not like, oh, okay, now you're just doing a murder mystery. It's still, they still involve it. They still make sure that it's part of the whole, oh, we're on Mars thing. It's still definitely in context. It's not just, oh, someone's been murdered in the living room with the hammer, right? It's a little bit more than that. So it's quite cool.
And like you said, everything kind of, it feels natural, right? So if there was a community on Mars, human beings being human beings, there would be a murder, there would be a cover-up or something. So everything kind of feels organic, I guess.
Way. And I reckon I was sort of thinking about like the policing and the security. I think it would be an absolute challenge trying to police a base like that, especially one which seems to have grown organically with like add-ons here and there and whatever. So it is probably a little bit of a rabbit warren. And you sort of think, okay, but it's a base, where can people hide on a base? But like once it gets big enough, absolutely you can, right? So you would definitely start to have weird things going on. So interesting foray.
And with Ed's efforts, he's now talking to Leonid, who is, I'm guessing, a new character. Do we know this guy?
Who's that?
Anyway, he's the governor of Mars.
Oh yes, I think he is a new character. Yes,
right.
But maybe he's not though, because they sort of implied that he was an astronaut, right? That he he had been doing something. I mean, maybe.
Well, cosmonaut.
Yeah. Well, good point. Very good point.
And I found out watching this that a Korean astronaut would be called a eugenaut.
Oh, seriously? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was like in the background on the news thing. It was a eugenaut.
Okay, because really cool. I know that Chinese astronaut is a taikonaut. I'd never heard the Korean one. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
But in this meeting, he can't offer any help. The governor, or refuses to, because it's his discretion.
Yes.
Yeah. And now Kelly is talking to Walt. It is Walt. It just came up on the subtitles.
Cool.
Yeah. And they're talking about the search, and the probe is not sending back data, so they need to send another probe. And it's like, well, just send a human being. It's faster. And, we need to get this before the other people get this,
Yeah.
And immediately it's like, she wants to go herself. And,
yeah, and she was very adamant in trying to deny that. And I'm like, and everyone was like, oh no, it's just because you want to go. And I'm like, you can think that it's a genuine need and also want to be on the mission.
Yeah,
like,
but they're not mutually exclusive. Very next scene. The very next scene was like the Baldwin family dinner, and then it's just like, it just makes sense. And then Alex and Ed are just like laughing. They're like laughing under their breath, like, "Mom, you want to go?"
Yeah,
it was so clear, right? And that's, like you said, that's fine.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I think you should send humans. And just by the way, the human that you should send should also be me. Yeah.
Who knows this stuff and is a pilot, right?
Exactly. And is already involved in the whole, and it's like, I challenge you to find someone better qualified. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, this is when they talk about hard sex. It's like, make your own luck. Like, who is this guy to say no to you? Go to the other guy, And it's like, a great, I don't know, like, great piece of advice for just anyone, I guess. You just make it happen for yourself. And she storms off, and she's like, yeah, you're right. And she leaves her spag bowl, her lovely dinner there. I always notice in movies and TV when they don't finish their meals or whatever. It's just like,
absolutely, yeah.
You would finish and then go. But,
there's the classic scene it happens in many movies where the kid runs downstairs and the mom has prepared a breakfast,
the most beautiful,
and then it's just like, cheers.
She grabs a piece of toast and like put some jam on, like, I'm late for the bus, Mom.
I'm like, I would be late for school, man. I don't care. I'll walk. I'm having that breakfast.
6 waffles, bacon.
Yeah.
She leaves, and then Ed is insensitive with Alex.
I thought Alex was being a little bit spineless, if I'm honest. I tended to agree with Ed there, actually. Ed had been offering him opportunities, and then suddenly he wants what he wants in the moment, right? And he was like, oh, now I want to help. And I was like, nah, I actually agree with Ed, yeah. He was a little bit of an arsehole about it, but I do think the kid needs to grow up a little bit.
Yeah. And now in a rover, Boyd is monitoring the exterior of the Kurgan base. And seeing some shady stuff. There's night stuff going on, which is not allowed.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, that's a central mystery of the season. Definitely something's going on with Kurgan. Very interesting.
Yeah. And they definitely know about it, right? Like they like the company themselves. They definitely doing something, because like then when she went to them and asked like what's up or whatever, they're like, oh, she was just leaving or whatever, and then the bodyguard comes up and all of that. It's like they're definitely doing something here. Yeah.
And now Kelly and Walt are talking to Dev, and Dev is like, yeah, you do need a person, and it is going to be Kelly. And I've written down, we're going to Titan. This is the season frontier that we're going to reach. I would hope.
Right. I would also think so. I reckon we might not sort of be on Titan much, but I think sort of maybe in the last episode we'll get there, right? And then the last season will be us on Titan. So yeah, I reckon that's sort of where the season is heading.
Yeah. Now we have a meeting of the SDM, and we're going to do a prison break. It's clear, and anyone who wants to leave can leave if they don't want to be in the not for it. And Miles leaves, and there was a great shot of his wife's face, like her reaction to this. Like, what? Like,
right? Yeah.
This is not. This is not you.
Yeah.
Like you said, that's going to be a thing that's going to unravel as we.
It's going to definitely unravel at some stage.
Yeah. And then there was a scene you were talking about was Boyd kind of talking with the Kurgan people and like kind of being ushered out, I guess. And then we have the tearful goodbye with Lee and his wife. And this is not related to anything science fiction, but I don't know if you know anything about like the Korean skincare industry. I guess it would be an industry, but it's
not really.
It's a thing that like Korean skincare, like South Korean people are very much into kind of beauty care and stuff like that.
Okay. Yes.
And it's considered like if you buy like a Korean moisturizer instead of like a Nivea one, you know, it's a better product.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. Okay. I do know that. Yeah.
And it was funny to me, the contrast of an American actor who's playing Lee. That's an American actor.
Okay.
The contrast of him and then the actress playing his wife, like, and their skin, you can tell that one has a skincare routine and one doesn't. It was like,
that's awesome.
You can see why it's worth it.
An advertisement right there. Yeah.
It was just such a random thing. It was like, oh, there's the proof if ever you need it. But now, back to the show. It's time for the mission. So we're putting Lee in a rover, and it's been commandeered by Ed and this other guy whose name escapes me, or we never got.
Yeah,
and they're depressurizing the cabin to knock out the guards, and they do, and then they get away, and it's like, and I love the sheriff looking through the hole. It's like, Ed Baldwin.
Right. Yeah. No, I also love that. Yeah, because he's unmistakable even from the back. It's like, oh, exactly. this bitch.
And one of the Ed's conspirators shot, and you can't fly the hopper. I was like, I'll fly. Like, okay. You know, we had the whole thing with the shakes in season 4, I think it was.
Yes.
So this guy is in no condition to fly.
And then you see, what I also didn't quite understand is when he was, I think it was in the previous episode, getting his cancer diagnosis or checkup or whatever.
Yeah, it was.
The guy said something like, "You can't fly because of the changes in pressure or whatever."
Yeah.
And then like I don't quite understand that, because obviously then he starts flying, and then it starts acting up, right? And he starts coughing and all of that.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand how it would immediately affect his cancer, but I think that's somehow.
Well, I don't think it's immediate. I think that just so changes in pressure, yes, but going from the habitat to the rover to the hopper was just too much for him, and then by that point he's just like weakened.
Okay.
And then you know, maybe the mental strain of, you know, it sent everything over the edge, right? That's
right.
I think what
that's better. I can accept that. Yeah.
And of course Ed has to fly, right? That was sort of inevitable.
Yes.
And there's a great chase with the hoppers to ISN. Do you know what this is?
No, I struggle with that. I don't know.
It wasn't clear to me it wasn't clear to me what this ISN base was and why there was no extradition to M6 countries.
Yeah, I also didn't quite
because I thought
know what that
maybe
was.
India, but India's in M6, so it's not that.
Oh, well, sure. I don't know that. Wow.
But it had was it Chinese characters on the door controls?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It just, I mean, I'm Googling it now. It just says independent spacefaring nations. So it's obviously just, I don't know.
It
something else.
It wasn't clear to me. Like, it's obviously not a North Korean base because they just kill him, right? That's
right. Yeah. From. Yeah.
I thought it looked like Chinese characters to me on the door. Well, hopefully next episode we find out.
Yes.
Because after the chase, very exciting chase, I thought. I love the hoppers.
Yes, it was an exciting chase, even though it sort of, I don't know, it seemed like it was in slow motion almost, right? But it was still exciting. Like, even though they were going at a snail's pace, it was still like, ooh, like it was as if it was just like a full on car chase or something.
Yeah. And Lee makes it inside the base, so he will not get extradited to an M6 country.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think they did a terrible job of actually catching up to him, right? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Land the thing in closer. The way of, like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's an international treaty thing that they can't land at a certain...
It probably, yeah. Good save.
And, yeah. And the final thing I have written in my notes is this it for Ed?
I mean, I'm wondering, hey, like... I also think not. I feel like it might be the beginning of the end. I don't think he's just dead, right? I don't think, like, he's dead, but I think he might never recover from this. This is sort of the beginning of his decline.
I think there's a deathbed conversation with Kelly and with Alex that needs to happen for those two, not for Ed.
Right.
Those two characters need to have a final conversation with him, which I think that they just... if you put a writer's hat on for a second, I think they are going to do that.
Yes, yeah. No, I reckon. I mean, I think we might still have him. I think it might be a little bit more than that. I don't think he's going to die like in the next episode. I think he might be around for.
I don't think he's
some of the season
though. Yeah,
I don't think he's lasting till the end, but he might be like halfway through or something. But yeah, I think he's pretty much going to be on his deathbed now, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Slowly getting worse and worse,
yeah. But that was episode 2, the Hard 6. And I think we can do a little bit of final thoughts / look ahead to the season to come. I thought it was good to be back. I love being in this world. It was,
yes.
I love these characters. It was a good start, and I'm keen to see the murder mystery and the search for life hopefully going to Titan play out. I think those will be two great fronts for the season, and I think that an Earth versus Mars kind of political intrigue storyline has great potential. We'll see what they do with that. But yeah, good start. I'm excited for what's to come, basically.
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, I think you mentioned it as well. It's sort of Mars becoming independent politically. I would like to see that. I would like to, because that's sort of something which, if you just think about the future of humanity and eventually, being multiplanetary, of course it would start off with just a base on another planet, but eventually, surely, you would start having people like the various characters. I don't know their names, but she's like, no, I come from Mars, right? Like that's who I am. I am from Mars. You would start having people who, like with colonialization, people who grew up in the colonies, they live in the colonies, and they're like, well, why is England still in control, right? Like, I've never been to England.
Yeah.
It would be a similar sort of sentiment where you start to get, no, we want to be self-determining. So that would be interesting to see, I think. and to explore. Yeah.
And I've just remembered now, based on like you were talking about the kids there. One of them's called themselves Marsies. Did you notice that? And like there is a famous word for what you are. It's a Martian.
Yeah. Like it exists already. Yeah.
Science fiction for
like Marsies don't
right?
come with. No, that's not going to work.
Yeah, please drop that before it gets annoying.
Yes, please. But then I'm also really keen because I suppose I don't really have a worst science moment for this episode, but the best one, sort of best scientific thread, I would say, is definitely the life on Titan. Yeah. Because that is, I think Alida or however you say it, said it at some stage, like Titan is the most promising world for life in the solar system. And it absolutely is. That is real science. Scientists tend to think that Titan is what Earth might have looked like in the past, right? So it's sort of like a version of Earth before life even ever evolved. So
right.
Our current sort of understanding is not that there is life on Titan, but that there might one day be life. And it's not water-based. Titan has liquid methane. So
I was about to ask that. Is that the one with methane lakes? Yeah.
Exactly. It's the one with methane lakes and seas and everything. So it would be an entirely different kind of life. It wouldn't be water-based, but it would still be liquid-based, and it's still an organic molecule. It would still be an organic form of life. So it's definitely based on real science. I'll be really interested to see how they sort of explore that going forward. That's definitely based in reality.
And just on that, I mean, so correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a probe going to Europa right now.
Exactly, yes.
That will get there in a few years to check under the surface, right? That's I'm all right on that.
Mostly. I don't think it's not actually going under the surface itself.
But
I don't think it's landing. Right, but it's going to be in orbit, and it's going to be sort of like imaging and looking under the surface remotely.
Right. Yeah. Seeing all the whales and sharks down there.
Exactly. Yeah.
That would be. I'm going to put money on that. I'm going to take a long shot on whales, not just microorganisms. But that's also something where that was in the show. Like they were on Europa, but the surface was thicker than they thought, right? So
okay, right,
yeah. And like you said, it's real science. Like we're gonna look under Europa, and we're gonna look on Titan one day, but yes, it's all this is all sound foundation for the show, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think anything's been approved yet, but there was sort of an idea for a future Europa mission where they have a rover underneath the ice. So they drill through the ice, and then it's a rover, but it's floating, and it's got wheels, and it drives underneath the ice. That sort of idea. And then there was also an idea for sort of like a boat rover on Titan. So you landed on Titan, and it's like a boat rather than a rover. So it goes around on the lakes and stuff. I don't think any of those have been approved. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, scooping up stuff and analyzing things and whatever. None of that's been approved yet. We have landed on Titan once with the Huygens probe in 2005, might have been. 2005, January. But that probe only lasted for maybe a couple days or something. It was like a very short-lived probe, because the problem with Titan is the atmosphere is really thick. So you can't have a solar panel. So you have to have some sort of probably a nuclear-powered rover like the current Mars rovers. So it's a little bit more challenging to land on Titan with the probe. But there are certainly sort of ideas to do it eventually at some stage in the semi-near future, I would say.
Right. So a thing to look out for the season, coming back to the show, would be how sound those methods are, I guess, when Kelly gets there, right? And if it has any basis in actual thinking and design, that's happened so far.
Yeah. And I mean, I think based on the history of the show, they generally tend to pay quite a bit of attention to that sort of thing. So it would, I'm hoping to see some interesting science takes and approaches and stuff going forward.
Yeah. Well, if that's everything for
I think that's probably everything
for All Mankind.
this week. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If that's it, then thank you as always for listening or for watching. Do like, subscribe, follow, comment, whatever you need to do. It helps us grow, obviously. And of course, we're back next Monday, and we're going old school. We're going.
Indeed.
This is the furthest back we're going to go, or we'll have gone so far. We're going back to the 50s for Forbidden Planet, which neither of us have seen. So that's a really exciting one. A film that I've wanted to see for a long time because I know it has a status as a classic, and I know you do too. So that's very exciting. So yeah, we will see you then next Monday for Forbidden Planet, and yeah, for the show for All Mankind. We will be back in 3 weeks to catch up on episodes 3, 4, and 5 once they're all out. So until then, live long and prosper.